I also want to say that Lauren Kern is our guest today, and she has been a pivotal person and event, so to say, in Penelope's weight loss journey and in our lives. And so we're really grateful to be able to share Lauren with you today and this part of Penelope's journey. And we hope that this conversation is truly inspiring.
And thank you so much. You both are lovely. So I'm a CSCS with the NSCA. It's a really high qualification. And I've been in the field for about 20 years now. And yeah, I have made some really big differences in people's lives. And I feel like this is what I was built to do. And I've changed my body and I've changed my mindset along the way, and gained and lost 15, 20 pounds at a time, national competitor in fitness.
You're currently in Northern California,
I'm,
and you work with private clients.
I do.
Yeah, and what else? There's so much.
And I met you.
Yeah.
I met you in Florida, and then somehow we became very closely bonded, and then I got this one.
Well, it's funny because Mom walks up to me one day, or she's like, I just went on a hike with Lauren. And she's a personal trainer, and you were like really hyping Lauren up, and I was like, who's this other trainer? You know, I wasn't sure. I was like, there's just a trainer.
She wasn't the first one I asked her to work with, by the way.
Yeah. This was like the fourth one that she'd recommended to me, and I was like really overweight.
And I kind of let go of it.
I kind of want to know who the other ones were.
Oh, they were people from Maryland that I had known that like.
Yeah, she wanted me to do like an online one, and I was like not interested.
Right. No, I was trying to, but by the time we got to this one, I pretty much let go. So just for you moms out there who are thinking about this for your daughter, like I really let go. Like I was really sharing my genuine enthusiasm about my hike with Lauren. And yeah, so I let go, which is a big deal.
And the way you framed this trainer, Lauren, the way she framed you was like that you were like a prize or something, like you know what I mean? Like you,
at one point I was.
You still are. Stop it. Cut it
Still
out.
are. And so Mom was like, oh, I went on this hike with Miss Lauren, and she's trained all these great women, and she has a great body, and she has a great butt. Like she was like really hyping you up, and I was like, who is this girl? Like, I want to see photos of her. I want to talk to her. I want to meet her. Like, she was giving me FOMO. You know what I mean? Like genuine FOMO.
idea.
So that's why I was like, So I remember, I think I texted you, right? And I was like, I want to lose this much weight. This is how much I weigh. This is how much I've already lost. This is my goals. This is my body physique that I want to have. And da-da-da-da-da. And you were like, okay, great. Like, when do you want to start? And I was like, oh, okay. Well, now you're really putting me to the test. And you were like, I'll come to the house. I was like,
Oh.
you're going to that was very confronting for me because you knew this, you know this now, but at the time I was afraid to even leave the house.
Yeah. And
So-
it was during COVID.
It was during COVID, so it was kind of like the transition.
But not even just that.
And I was new to the area too, so I was afraid to travel.
And I was so insecure about myself and my body and like wearing gym clothes and like the whole thing was just like terrifying to me. Like,
Right.
it was just, I was horrified for you to even see me because I was like, oh, she's going to know that I'm fat and that I'm overweight. And I know she works with tons of people, but like still, I was really nervous. And I actually have a photo of that I took during the day after we trained together. And I was like pretty overweight. I remember like being like, I just did my first training session. I thought it was so cool. Not that cool, but.
No, it was so cool. Are you kidding me? That was a pivotal moment in your weight loss journey, Penelope.
It's true.
And look
So
at
big.
and look
That's
at
true.
the self-confidence now.
But what was going through your head when we first met and I was like super overweight at that time? What was going through your head? I'm curious.
I loved your mother.
Okay.
We met in Florida, and she trusted me enough to work with her daughter, who I had a feeling about.
What do you mean a feeling?
Well, your mom gave me a little bit of she kind of gave me a heads up about where you were at.
That I was depressed, anxious.
and to be honest, you guys actually didn't have a really good relationship at that
That's
point.
true.
You were at odds with Mom.
I envied
and
her.
I knew that from both perspectives. But something along the weight loss journey brought you two together.
Yeah.
As you started feeling more confident in your body and as you started losing more weight, your relationship with your mother increased.
And my dad.
And your father.
Yeah.
You were at odds with your father too. And I met him at your graduation, and now
Yeah.
you're flying to Paris all the time. I know. And he loves you.
Oh,
Yeah.
he loves
But
you.
your relationships are improving. Your confidence
Yeah.
is improving.
Yeah, you broke up with that
You're-
boyfriend.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. But
Oh no.
everything is improving.
Sorry.
I'm sorry too. But you know what? It all
was
happens,
so
it all
awkward,
happens for a good reason.
That was so awkward.
Well, so what was interesting also is that I'm really into fitness, but I'm not into like deadlifting. Like I'm not into heavy weights.
Yeah.
And so I think it was interesting to see Penelope gain autonomy in her building strength, because she had this idea based on Instagram that she needed to do this certain workout that you played along with for a time,
Yeah.
which was perfect, because you said it. You were like, she needs this. She needs to lift this heavy weight in order to, I forget what you said, but
Gain strength and confidence.
yeah, it was more than just the muscles, because like you got these huge muscles,
Yeah.
and you were so into it, and you got this like deep release and empowerment doing that, and you were like, "Come on, Mom, you got to get on board." And I'm like, "Honey, I don't think I can do that." So I think it was good that
Well,
you were like,
even-
"I can do this, and you can't."
Well, even Lauren would be like, Penelope, you don't need to lift that much. Why do you want to lift that much? I was like,
And
because
she
she's
just
doing it,
kept
and
on
she's
asking
doing
for
it.
more and more and more. And I couldn't I couldn't let go of it.
Well,
Yeah.
backtrack to when I didn't even want to go to the gym. Remember, you would be like, "Hey, like, I work at this gym. Like, do you want to come?" And for weeks, I'd be like, "No, I'm too scared. I don't want to go. I'm nervous. I don't want to." And you would be at home with me every week. Was it twice a week at one point?
yeah.
So yeah,
It was twice a week, and you and I we'd use the deck as a workout tool. And for anyone listening out there, this is really just to tell them that they can work out from anywhere. They don't have to
Yeah.
necessarily go to the gym. But
Yeah.
what you helped me do is leave the house, which was a big deal for me, and then get into a gym, which when I stepped foot in that gym, I was terrified. I was shaking, trembling, nervous. Like I was
then you
so
got
scared.
obsessed with it.
And
Yeah.
then you made me obsessed with it,
And then I got your mom obsessed with it too.
I know, and I'm forever grateful for that, because that made me fall in love with exercise. Because before that, I hated exercise. I hated it because she did it. I hated it because I didn't want to do it her way. I hated exercise because it just made me feel like I couldn't do anything. Because when you're overweight, it's really hard to work out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really big self-confidence issue. And it's something that takes time to get over. And I mean, sometimes I don't even want to go to the gym, to be honest with you. But I saw such a huge, huge change with you. I mean, you're one of my biggest success stories.
And we're so grateful. for
And
you.
I love you like a sister. I love Helene like a mother. Like you're my second family.
Love that. Love that.
Found you in Florida, found you in Fairfax, and then you both left me. and then I ended up there, stuck up there without you.
You were down here before, which
Yeah,
is
so we just,
ironic.
like,
we just
yeah,
flipped. We just switched.
switcheroo.
We just switched.
It was a switcheroo. Move me in. I'm ready.
People say that all the time about us.
It's true.
All right, so yesterday you said something really interesting that I want to follow up on. You said that it doesn't really matter about how much you exercise, that if you don't have your diet right, forget about it.
100% correct.
So can you elaborate on that point based on your thousands of hours
Yes.
and decades of experience
All right.
as a former professional fitness model?
All right, we're going to talk about this right now. And I know Helene from a very particular place. I was a fitness competitor for 3-4 years on a national level. And as a professional fitness competitor on a national basis, what I came to learn was what you eat has more to do with how much you exercise. So I could exercise 2 hours a day, 6-7 days a week, and if I didn't take in the right nutrients, I wouldn't lose any weight. And it would really take cutting calories and eating proper nutrition or having proper nutrition in order to get the weight down in order to be on stage.
And that seems counterintuitive for a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Because they think I need to deprive myself of calories and exercise in order to lose the weight. And they're hurting their metabolism and they're getting metabolic syndromes on the reg now.
And
so that I just want to reiterate what you said. You are not going to get the results with your exercise unless you have a proper diet, unless you have the macros and micros that you need to fuel your metabolism, to fuel your body, and to burn and shape your body with muscle.
Yeah.
Because you've seen total transformations.
Oh, I've seen huge transformations. I mean, when I was competing, I had to get myself down at 1,200 calories a day,
Wow.
and exercising 2 hours a day.
We've done it. We know it.
Yeah,
You were just talking to me about that. You're like, Penelope, that's too low. Don't eat that low calorie. That's crazy.
and you know what happened to me recently? I just turned 40 years old, and now I've got perimenopause. Like
Wow, and you think that's from doing too low cal?
it's possible.
Overworking your body.
I also went through amenorrhea for 5 or 6 years.
Amenorrhea.
When I went.
What's that?
Okay, we'll talk about it. Amenorrhea is the loss of your menstrual cycle.
Oh,
I went-
You
I-
said from being a gymnast when you were young, right?
Yeah, but
Well, for anyone who's anorexic out there is probably
it
also
happened to me again when I finished my competition phase.
Wow.
And that was like a 5 or 6 year period. There was all sorts of hormonal replacement, and
Hold on one second. If
none
you're-
of it worked.
If your menstrual cycle is off, meaning it's extra heavy or painful, and or you're not having your period, it's definitely a sign that you need to do something, right? The reason why your period disappears is because you're overtaxing your body. Like not eating enough nutrients, you're exercising too hard. These are usual reasons, or hormonal imbalances. I didn't know it was called amenorrhea. That's new.
Amenorrhea, yeah.
Yeah. And then if you have really heavy periods that are painful, it's also an irregularity. And we know firsthand from people we've worked with that you can absolutely gain relief from that condition and the other condition as well by losing weight and getting your body back to health. It's absolutely possible. So I want you to continue your story, but I just wanted to pause for a moment for the audience to understand that all this deprivation in diet culture can be very harmful, and we think we're doing the right thing, but we're actually harming ourselves. Yeah. And when you say proper nutrition, Lauren, what does that mean?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Drum roll, please.
I mean, I'm a sports and nutrition scientist, but I'm still trying to figure it out because I feel like every year that I get older, the body changes. And I'm trying to change along with it. So for a long time, I did the paleo thing. I did the keto thing. I did the intermittent fasting. I'm still intermittent fasting.
Except today, because I fed her.
Yeah, correct. But I feel like we have this need to kind of trick our body every time that it tricks us. So
Oh, wait, can we just repeat that one?
when it stops working, we got to try something new.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, that's
Okay.
like what mom's been saying my
High
whole
five.
life.
Can I get in there?
Yeah. All right. So this is really important, but can we agree on some basic fundamentals about what we know works, what makes us, and when I say works, I mean either maintains or loses weight and or makes us feel great. I didn't mean to rhyme, but that was kind of fun. So what are some basic things we can agree on? Tell me some truths for Lauren.
Me or
Yeah.
you?
No, for you. Like, what are some truths that you know
Right.
are like your go-tos?
Truths are, okay, to be honest with you,
Please, only.
and I'm looking here, right?
Only be honest, yeah.
When I did go vegan, I could lose 10 to 15 pounds in 2 to 3 weeks.
Okay, so when you go vegan, you're not eating like prepackaged vegan, frozen food. Okay,
raw.
So, all right, so let's talk about what vegan meant for you when you dropped this weight. Yeah, because vegan doesn't mean everything the same. 'Cause some people are just eating vegan ice cream and vegan French fries.
Oh, no. There's a right way to be a vegan. There's a
right.
wrong way to be a vegan.
Okay, right.
Okay, so what are the wrong ways to be a vegan?
The wrong ways to be a vegetarian or a vegan. Like I've had so many clients who are vegetarians and they're like, "Oh yeah, I just eat a bean and rice burrito." Like that's the wrong way to be a vegan.
So what's the right way?
Yeah, what's the right way?
All right. Well, the right way is to go as much plant-based and raw as possible, meaning not cooked food. You're just eating raw vegetables all the time.
Is that carrot sticks and celery then?
Yeah. There's more to it than that.
But I know people out there are like, "What do you mean? Like, am I supposed to like gnaw on a head of raw broccoli?" Like, I don't think so.
Yeah, I love raw broccoli.
I know, but like I'm thinking about like the people you train.
Yeah.
All right, so like,
I can't get many of them to go vegan, but every time I have done it, I've dropped 10 to 15 pounds, and
let's talk
I've made a
microgreens.
difference.
microgreens.
Yeah, microgreens are great.
Microgreens are the way
Yeah.
to go.
Microgreens, raw vegetables. I had to cut out a lot of other products in my life, but microgreens are amazing. Even my bearded dragon eats them.
Follow her bearded dragon on Insta.
We share vegetables at this point.
That's cute.
Okay, so you drop a lot of weight when you go raw vegan. And raw vegan is a variety of foods, I'm hearing you say. It's microgreens,
It's like 30 different vegetables. I mean, when somebody else is making them for me.
so
And cleaning
yeah.
up the dishes.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so raw vegan, but that's not from any packages.
No,
it's just
no
like
packages.
100% raw, fresh produce.
It is born, and then I eat it pretty much straight out of the ground.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's clear. So you feel your best when you're doing that?
To be honest, yes.
Wow.
It's a really hard lifestyle to keep up on
Okay,
your
I disagree.
own.
I disagree. Okay, I'm just going to say that for the audience. I mean, I hear that you're saying that, but I don't agree.
Okay.
I have trained thousands of people in this lifestyle, and it's just a choice. And it just becomes part of the fabric of your existence. I do not find it hard. So I just want to, like.
Can you move in
honest.
with me?
I get that like frequently. Like, can you be my mom and can I move in?
Move in, cook, non-cook for me.
Non-cook.
I've got a vegan mother, and
know.
and she brings me stuff all the time. You know, she's been trying to convert me for so long.
Well, you're
which
pretty
is
converted,
how
I'd say.
and that's kind of how I met you.
Yes.
She sent me to Hippocrates
Yes.
and to that, I call it raw vegan boot camp.
It's definitely a raw vegan boot camp for sure. For sure. Okay.
And she's jealous of me because I went back a second time and she's never even been there.
Okay, Lauren, I have a really important question
All
for you.
right. Uh-oh.
Okay, I need to know what your thoughts are on body positivity.
Okay. So let's define this a little bit more.
Okay. So my definition or the world's definition? Because those are different things now.
You talk to me about both of them.
So the world's definition today of body positivity. Let me just go back a little bit. Actually, body positivity originated for people who didn't have limbs, who lost their legs and arms and bodies and eyeballs and noses in wars.
I've worked with those.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then later on it became something more when it started to become about no matter how big you are, no matter how much you weigh, you're beautiful and healthy. So you can be 800 pounds and you're healthy. You can be 600 pounds and you're healthy and you're beautiful. So we just throw up, beauty is anyone, anything, doesn't matter what your size is, and health. Now health is beautiful at any size. And if a doctor or a dietitian tells you to lose weight, they're fat phobic. They're, mean, all the things. So I'm curious what you think as a fitness coach, what you think about body positivity.
I mean, cholesterol, blood pressure levels, like those are all very important factors in terms of our health overall.
Right.
So, I mean, if you feel fat and feel good, good luck to you. But it's not going to help out with your health in the long run.
And so when you see overweight people, and when overweight people come to you, if you told them they were healthy and fine, what do you think?
I don't tell my clients.
And why
that.
would you never tell them that?
True.
What would her answer?
Yeah. No, it's okay. Being overweight is going to end up getting you some health issues in the long run. And I mean, 130 pounds for me felt like overweight. And I got health issues just by being there.
Right.
So people who are 200 pounds, like when I met you,
I know I had health issues when you met me. You remember my health issues?
but-
So are you saying it's delusional?
it's not delusional, but it's not going to make a health difference, that's for sure.
So fat people.
I've had several clients who have lost their lives as a result of being overweight.
Really.
They love food so freaking much that it's an obsession that
Wait,
they
so
can't
let me
go
just go
of.
back.
It's like a moment of
Okay.
silence there.
Hold on,
That's
wait.
a big deal.
You lost 2 clients to obesity.
Can we just have a moment of silence?
absolutely.
Like that's a big deal. I don't know if you know this, but my mom died of severe obesity. It was on her death certificate as a cause of death. She was 59.
That's really young.
It's really young. So the gravity of what you just said is really deep for me because I had this incredible mom. And it was like her life was stolen by this addiction to food. And it's very real. I grew up with a 12-step program on my kitchen table. And I've spent my life studying how food could be healing instead of harming.
Yeah.
The neurobiology of it, the gut microbiome aspect of it. And it is so serious. And when I am out and about in the world and I see staggering rates of childhood obesity on the beaches, in the airports, and I see more obese people, morbidly obese people than I've ever seen in my entire life, I just have to ask myself, like, what is it going to take
For people to change their minds.
to wake up to shifting themselves out of addiction? Because what you said is really valid.
Well-
It's leading to death.
And there's so many preservatives that are addicting
chemicals,
inside of our foods right now.
Yeah.
And I have to be honest with you, like, because I stagger back and forth. I'm doing pretty well right now, but there was a point in my life where I had a food addiction, and then I got unaddicted, and I would just like kind of go back and forth.
I mean, food's almost the harder addiction because it's like if you have alcohol, you just leave it off out of your life.
Yeah.
Food, you gotta like.
There's so much crap in it these days, though, that I really feel like it hooks us onto it.
It does, and there's correlations now that show that toxicity and obesity go hand in hand. And when this body positivity conversation came into our world, I didn't get it. I was like, wait, this is a phone. This is separate from my reality. And these people don't make this, what they're saying is kind of funny. And Penelope's, no, Mom, this is real. This is serious.
Well, and she took it under control, and look at her.
Well, yes, and there's communities now that are like fat liberation. Like if you're fat, we're gonna liberate you. Did you know about that? Did you know about the fat liberation
Only
movement?
because of what you've been posting, but
Isn't it insane?
that
As a
is
personal
insane.
trainer, when you see that, what does it concern you? Does it make you worried?
100%. It also gives me new clients.
But what's interesting though?
I mean, it's the fact.
But what's funny though, well, it's not that funny, is that the fat liberation people don't actually want to lose weight. That's what's interesting about it, is that this new community of people don't want to lose weight. They're happy where they are. And they would rather be fat and addicted to food and not admit they're addicted to food than actually go to someone like you and try to lose weight and try to take accountability. Because we're now in a place where everyone thinks
Give them 10 years
it's
when they
okay.
start having health issues, and then I'm going to be getting a lot of calls.
Did you know that 4 body positive influencers died this year? Just this year.
Yeah, I know. I've been watching it.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
And they were saying that being overweight was fine and healthy. Imagine, like, for me, it's like all the young girls who listen to those people and are like, oh, yeah, it's okay to be overweight. And now you have 69% of the population who's overweight or obese today.
Yeah.
I mean, how would you combat that? Why do you think so many people are overweight today?
I think it's a lot of preservatives in our food. I think it's laziness. You know, I'm an exerciser, but if you don't use it, you lose it, you know?
You always told
And-
me that.
and, many people, clients, friends, like, I feel like when they stop working out, they just stop working out. And that is a big problem. And the food industry is a big problem. And a lot of the garbage that goes into our food, I'm sorry, you know. And I know that costs a little bit more to shop organically, but I try to do that
Yeah.
as best as I can. My mom goes to 4 different grocery stores throughout the week just to make sure that she gets, you know, all of the proper ingredients at the right price.
So I know you have clients that some probably have like 40 pounds to lose, and it's like they're overweight, but they're still within their BMI potentially, or at the upper end of the BMI.
Yeah, I don't go with BMI.
All right, tell me more about that.
I go with body fat percentage. So BMI was ruled out like back in the 80s. BMI has nothing to do with your overall health because that's just a focus on how much you weigh versus your body weight. And that doesn't take into consideration how much muscle mass that you have. So we go by body fat percentage these days.
Do you think the best way to measure that is on a scale with the electrodes, or I know?
I use a calibrator.
What I don't remember how well I did. I don't remember.
Well, it goes through the frequency of your body, and it's
Yeah.
very interesting because I'm actually working with a doctor right now who wants to get her BMI down, and I don't understand why she wants to get her BMI down because the doctors threw that out of the window in the 80s.
Okay, so at Penelope's age, what's her ideal body fat?
Below 30%,
Okay, so what would you say her best range is?
25,
And for a woman who's my age, almost 50, what's my ideal?
under 30.
Also, so what's my ideal range?
If you're over 30% body fat percentage, then you're considered obese.
Okay, this is
Okay.
great.
Wow.
And then, so should we all buy one of these devices, the calibrators?
I can get you one for $20.
Okay, so I want to get one. This is meaningful to me. How do I lose? What's the most efficient way to lose body fat to lower my percentage? Let's say I'm at 32% or
Stay off of carbs and sugars.
okay, so not all carbs are created equally, not all sugar is the same.
No.
So like when you say
the plant-based carbs for you, I think like the ones that you fed me today, totally cool.
Sweet
but-
potato, by the way.
I mean, I don't have to worry about you eating bread because you're gluten-free.
right, but I do make sprouted buckwheat bread. Like you had a piece last night.
Yeah, and I had some rice or
Yeah.
something like that
Yeah,
today.
yeah.
I would say like every few days and try to keep it on days when you're exercising.
Yeah.
So my plant-based plan for my clients, if you're going to work out, have your starch in the morning, maybe have your starch at lunch. Don't eat that stuff at dinner time because that is a fuel source. And unless you're going to run a marathon at 11 o'clock at night, you don't need that fuel source for dinner.
Oh, so logical.
So
Love that.
if you're going to exercise in the morning or at lunchtime, you know, take the sugar in, take the carbs in, breakfast, lunch only, and cut it out for dinner time.
So when we say sugar, what you're saying is like an apple or
Fruit sugar.
yeah, like or like because let's just get clear with our audience here. Sugar is also in vegetables, the glucose, right?
Yeah.
So we're eating.
It's low though.
Okay, so when you're saying sugar, what you're saying is like any kind of refined carbohydrate.
I would limit everything to fruit sugar. if possible.
Or glucose from vegetables.
Or glucose from vegetables, which is really, really low. But like even for me, like I don't even do like watermelon or pineapple. Like those are really high sugary foods. Unless I'm doing like a 3-mile run, I won't touch those things.
Fascinating.
And as I've gotten older, what I found is that my body doesn't process the sugars the way that it used to. So I just try to keep them out of my system. I use them when I need the fuel for energy, but otherwise, I don't touch them.
Ironically, earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that by eating more carbs and sugar, you were losing weight. So I want to understand that for you and why that's meaningful.
All right, well, that's a different question.
Right. No, I'm really curious because this, like you were talking about, we need to change it up. So, like, let's say somebody was on the ketogenic diet and they become carbohydrate intolerant. So now, whenever they eat carbohydrates, their blood sugar is all over the place. And then they need to slowly get back on eating some carbs so that they can become less carbohydrate intolerant because carbohydrate intolerant leads to diabetes.
Correct.
And everyone's on this keto, carnivore, paleo, like
Yeah.
insanity. And it's like it's causing massive rates of carbohydrate intolerance, which leads to diabetes. And it's like such a mind twisting thing.
I've got a different situation.
Well, you don't have to share your personal information, but I just want to clarify for the audience in case they heard both things
Yeah.
that they can hold them in and it makes some sense out of it because. One thing's for sure, we're so confused about nutrition. We don't know what the heck to eat. Our doctors aren't telling us. Our schools didn't teach us, and
Doctors are definitely not telling us what we need to know.
And most families aren't like ours where the mothers are obsessed with nutrition. So there's a huge lack in understanding and correct knowledge around what the heck to eat. And we are seeing that in society as a whole. We have never been sicker. Our lifespans are getting shorter. And it's a huge problem for our insurance companies and our longevity.
Yeah, I would just say go as clean as possible.
And clean means.
Eat food out of the ground.
There you go, guys.
And that's what we do with Step It Up. We
Yeah.
teach you how to make healthy food taste delicious from whole foods. And people say, oh, what the heck am I going to eat? It's like, oh my gosh, where do we even start? We got
Pick it out of the ground.
we were in the garden yesterday eating that stuff out of the ground, which was really fun. But like, not everyone's into that yet. That's like a gradient, there's all kinds of ways to make
But my mom's got a beautiful garden right now. When I go over to visit her, she gives me a bowl and she puts me in the backyard and she asks me to pick everything.
Some people don't have yards.
right. But you can make a lasagna out of cauliflower.
She actually made me a lasagna 2 days ago.
Amazing.
And it was vegan.
Right? And you can make a pasta out of zucchini.
Oh, yeah.
You can make, it's like the endless ideas of like good
Toast out of sweet potato.
Yeah, we did avo toast with sweet potatoes. Oh my gosh, amazing. I have a squash right now that I just roasted. We're out of avos. We got to go to the farm and get some. Anyway.
I had 2 in my refrigerator. I should
Lot
have brought
growing
them.
outside. I'm so excited. But anyway, there's so much available. Like even the cookbooks on the shelf behind you are like, full of ideas, right? There's no end to ideas.
No, absolutely not.
And you know that because of your mom, but most people are just like,
Mom's
what?
been a gluten-free vegan for, it's been over 15 years now.
Yeah.
And so is my stepfather. And I really have to hand it to him. The amount of work that they put in and the amount of diligence and discipline that they put in to hold on to that life set.
Why do you think that their commitment is so deep? What about this lifestyle is causing them to stay connected to this commitment?
Well, Papa Chris has been a vegan for, over 20 years, if not longer. And he just has a love for animals. Like, he won't even eat honey because he doesn't want to, disturb the bees. My mom became a vegan as a result of mercury poisoning around the time of menopause. She's stuck with that. That's kind of actually how they met. And they've been together for close to 20 years now, which is a really beautiful relationship because...
And the depth of their wisdom is so profound.
Yeah.
And they keep learning.
Yeah, and then they sent me away to Raw Vegan Boot Camp, where I met you in Florida.
That'll be our little secret.
That was Mom's deal. And to be honest with you, I went back to Raw Vegan Boot Camp less than a year ago.
Do you think that kind of lifestyle in Penelope's life may have caused some of the problems that she developed? You know, like, for example, she was 4 the first time she went there. And
You've hung out there.
yeah, and then we moved there and lived there for 2 years because I built their online programming and and their health coach training programs.
I don't understand that you live there.
Yeah, we lived there for 2 years. She was there every single day.
Can you move me in? I'm sorry.
But I genuinely wonder sometimes if I hadn't been such a health enthusiast, some people might say health neurotic, and because I was scared because I lost my mother abruptly to obesity, that, you know, my efforts in trying to protect Penelope and myself and our futures may have actually been the thing that caused.
It's very possible. It's very possible. I mean, growing up,
Sorry, Penelope.
no, I'm sorry to get into this. You know, I grew up as a dancer and a gymnast, so there were a lot of health issues because there was so much tension on me in terms of body dysmorphia. And then my mother became vegan, and then she put all of that on me as well, and that kind of like toppled on top of me. I think that I've got everything kind of balanced right now, but I do think that that could have contributed to a little bit of your issues. But you seem to be doing really well right now.
What about all the people who are not doing so well and taking Ozempic instead of?
Okay,
you
that's
know?
a different question.
So I'm curious. What do you think? What are your thoughts about Ozempic? Have any of your clients used it? Have you seen people using it at the gym?
I do have at least 2 clients who have admitted to using Ozempic, and
For diabetes or for weight loss? Sorry, just curious.
weight loss.
Okay.
Weight loss.
I do have a type 2 and a type 1 diabetic. Neither one of them have taken it yet. I'm actually at odds of type 2 diabetes.
And you're not on it.
No. And I won't take it.
Why?
For one, I don't believe in pharmaceuticals. And it hasn't been around long enough for people to really understand the long-term effects of it.
But Ozempic's not the only kind of weight loss drug. There's Wegovy. There's so many. So why?
That's the other one.
So why don't you tell your clients, oh, just take Ozempic, don't work out, don't do a healthy diet? Why do you always tell them to do the natural way instead?
Because you have to learn how to put in the work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you can take a pill, but as soon as you get off of that pill, the weight's going to come back on if you don't figure out how to do it by yourself.
Right.
So, no, I don't believe in that medication. I don't think that it's good for you. They're using it as the easy way out. And the best way out is just to figure out how to take care of your body.
Yeah, absolutely. Come to find out, you still need to diet and eat right when you're on the medication anyway, which is fascinating. And I've heard this symptom that when you're on the drug, that you're losing more lean muscle mass than you would if you were normally dieting. And I'm not sure if that's true. And I wanted to double check it with you.
Interesting.
Are they having a hard time gaining muscle mass or not really?
I haven't done that much research because there's only 2 clients who are using it right now.
Got it.
But I know from my bodybuilding and my competition phases that I messed around with some weight loss medications that
Did it work?
were or were not legal. And
Like Fen-Phen or something?
No, not that.
Oh.
Did it work though? I'm so curious.
Sugar pills. That's how I felt
What is
about
sugar
them.
What's that?
Like when you take something, you work out harder because you think it's gonna work,
Oh.
and then
Placebo.
yeah, so you don't know what kind of effect you're getting. But But then when I stopped competing, I ended up with amenorrhea and I lost my menstrual cycle for 6 years.
Do you
So
remember?
what was best for me?
Do you remember when I was doing HCG injections? Do you remember when I tried to do those?
I don't think you told me about those.
No,
Yeah, so uncomfortable.
But I did those too.
I did HCG injections, and I only for like, what was it, like a month or no, it was 2 weeks. And I remember we didn't train for those 2 weeks, and I was on like 800 calories, wasn't working out, and I gained weight, so much weight after.
We're being honest, yeah.
After
right.
I gained so much weight back. So it didn't actually help me in my journey at all because I just gained the weight right back after I was done with it.
Yeah.
So
Going back for a second to the Ozempic conversation, I feel like people think that the pill is going to fix them. But one of the things I've realized on our journey is
They
that
need to fix themselves.
yeah, there's like it's like the pill they think is but they need the weight loss journey has uncovered so many gems about our self-realization and who we are and why it matters. And we would miss that if we just took a pill. And I just don't think that's what we're up to right now.
No, people have just gotten lazy. and they want an easy way out.
It's
'cause
true.
People don't know how to
it's true.
They don't
take care of themselves
They don't know
anymore.
how to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
No one taught them. Doctors didn't, schools didn't,
No.
parents were too busy.
And they're eating way more than they need to.
Yeah,
Way
more than they need to.
So how is it with your clients? Like, I mean, is it like pulling eye teeth to get them to eat a proper diet of whole foods?
Well, by ITs, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, like, is it really? How easy is it to get your clients to eat a whole foods diet when you're training them?
I've got some clients who are really, really on top of things. And I've got I've got a type 1 diabetic client who eats breakfast burritos with eggs and bacon and cheese. And he's like 78 years old. And I'm shocked that he's still alive, to be honest with you.
Wow.
And he's, got monitors all over his body. And like, how do you survive at that point? And
You just talked about how people were lazy, and I find that like once you figure out how to live this lifestyle and take care of yourself, it just becomes natural.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It just becomes like easy, and it's just like how you live. In the beginning, though, learning it can be the challenge, And I think that that's what a lot of people who are listening to this video are struggling with. How do I create this lifestyle so that I can actually take care of myself? And it's like, when did we forget that our bodies could heal themselves?
Yeah.
It's like a foreign concept that our bodies were designed to be resilient and heal themselves.
eat food out of the ground. And I got to practice what I preach. I've been cheating a little bit recently, but it's a hard lifestyle to maintain.
I disagree. I'm going to disagree with that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that it's
Can
just
you start
a
sending me
choice.
food?
I think it does take time. I get what you're saying, Lauren. It does take time. It does take effort. It does take planning. It does take the right shops and the right foods and the right sources. So you have a point. Like a lot of people, like we'll be making recipes sometimes and we have these conversations because I'm somebody who likes to just grab, go, done. And she's like, I want to make it from Whole Foods and I want to get all these things. And I'm like, that's great. And the average mom is going to Costco and buying whatever she can find as fast as she can. And so if throwing a bag of frozen cauliflower rice into the microwave is what she can do, I'd say that's better than eating a bag of
Agreed.
chips.
I don't even
Agreed.
have a microwave.
I know. Well, exactly.
I agree.
But the average mom probably
Yeah,
does. The
yeah.
average mom is going to
And
Costco.
she
So
can do it
how?
partially out of a tube.
I don't
and
even
she
I
can-
don't
yeah.
even have a Costco membership.
Right.
I put-
I'm
No, but I
surprised.
put-
I'm surprised about
I
that
put
one.
Papa Chris on that.
That's
But my stepfather, who's in his 60s, he's done this for 30 years or
He doesn't.
more.
He
or
looks
more.
Like he's like in his late
Yeah,
30s.
he looks
and
like-
and
yeah.
he works really long days.
Yeah.
My mom is nearly retired. So I think it's easier my mom does a lot of the cooking or non-cooking.
Food
She does a lot of the food prep, and he does most of the dishwashing. But they make it work. And,
It's actually really simple.
every time, the 2 times I came back from Hippocrates, I I was able to keep up with the lifestyle for about a 6-month period. And then when I just got overwhelmed with work, it was just really hard to keep up
That's a
on.
common sabotage that happens,
Yeah.
or
I mean, I bought a food processor,
oh wow,
which I think I've used twice, but I bought that.
I keep breaking mine.
And I've got a Vitamix.
Broken again.
Like
not
I've got
surprised.
all of the equipment to do it.
Yeah.
But like I gotta do all the farmers markets, the
And you have like the best
organic-
farmers markets in the whole world, like within walking
right
distance.
down the street
Yeah.
from me.
That's
yeah.
like somebody who buys the shoes for the gym but doesn't, or the gym membership and just never goes.
How could you say that to a fitness coach? Oh my gosh.
She knows I love her. I'm not like,
Okay,
so-
wait. I need to know, what's the biggest fitness mistake you see people make in the gym?
Nikes.
I thought you were going to say
got
Converse.
nothing against Nike, by the way.
I thought you were going to say Converse, because, they all wear
Oh,
Converse.
Converse
so
are bad too.
Okay.
But everybody thinks Nikes are great because all of the athletes wear them, but they're
Terrible.
awful.
So what do you like, the New Balances then?
New
Saucony?
Balance, Sauconys, Asics.
I don't even know what that is.
It really just depends upon your foot shape.
What's the best running shoe?
Depends upon your foot shape.
About my foot.
For me, an Asic. I tried Brooks recently, and then I ended up with plantar fasciitis.
Penelope got the Lululemons.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the white ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember those.
We're talking the mic though.
You've got a high arch.
It's from dancing, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I was a dancer too. Look at my arch. It sucks.
Oh.
But
No, but really, what do you think?
There's not a right or a wrong. It just has to do with your foot shape.
But so what's the biggest mistake you see them do in the gym? Is it like their form? Is it their
I would say form.
form?
yeah.
Okay.
Or not doing enough cardio, or
Oh yeah.
too much cardio and not enough weightlifting, or
It depends upon the person.
Yeah.
I see some people who are just doing way too much cardio, and I see some people who are just lifting all the time and not doing enough cardio. So it's just different depending upon the
Right.
person.
So I think I notice a lot that people who lift a lot aren't like losing weight necessarily, but they're bulking up. Like I see people who really enjoy lifting, but they need to slim down. And then I see people who are doing a lot of cardio, like a lot, and they don't have any muscle mass really. They're just like kind of flat ass, like really saggy skin and but skinny. But they have like a totally different like texture to their shape.
What's the biggest weight loss mistake that you see people making?
Carbohydrates and sugars.
What do you mean carbohydrates and sugars?
Starchy foods, rice, bread, any kind of like dessert food, and even fruit sugar can be dangerous at some point for people. Putting sugar in coffee, refined sugar.
Refined sugar.
Huge.
So stevia, monk fruit, those are fine?
I would say stevia and monk fruit, safe.
Safe. But
Yeah.
sucralose, maltodextrin,
Oh, absolutely
sucralose,
not.
aspartame.
Right.
Absolutely not.
And there's sugar in everything, right? Sauces, prepared foods, yogurt,
Yeah.
alcohol. There's fruit juice, soda. So like people don't have necessarily sugar on their radar. So that's really
Correct.
important to keep in mind.
Yeah, Primal Foods makes a really good product or a really good
Ketchup.
selection of products
Yeah.
that are sugar free
Yeah.
and don't have any refined sugars, don't have any sugar alcohols. That's and that's something that to be honest with you, I messed around with sugar alcohols for a really long time.
Like erythritol,
Correct.
xylitol, mannitol.
Erythritol, a little bit safer, but when I was competing, I used a lot of sugar alcohols in order to decrease my caloric intake and to still like feel that buzz, like get the sweetness into my life.
Yeah.
And I think that might have messed me up for a while. I think that it messed up my GI tract and my gut health. But yeah, I don't mess around with those anymore. I would rather, if I need the sweets, I would rather use agave or maple syrup organic, to try to like crave that that buzz these days, because I don't think that the sugar alcohols were good for my digestive system.
So in our program, we educate people on where they are,
Yeah.
if they're eating regular white sugar in a lot of things, and we teach them how to step it up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so we go from regular sugar to what you were saying, like maple syrup, and then honey and agave, and then from there,
Stevia, monk fruit.
because you reset your taste buds. Like a lot of people who are listening to this are probably sugar addicts, admittedly. And we know from what you said as the expert that, really paying attention to that is going to make a huge difference in your weight loss. The tricky part is that it causes addiction.
Absolutely.
Flour and sugar are the things that Overeaters Anonymous uses as abstinence, right? So if you are an alcoholic, you don't drink alcohol anymore, and when you don't drink alcohol, you are abstinent. In Overeaters,
And then you crave sugar.
and then you crave sugar, and that's why all the media, it's so shocking. They have like soda and coffee and pastries at all the AA meetings. It's so interesting, but you usually switch the addiction to sugar, and it's so
I've
insidious.
seen that happen so many times because I've worked with a lot of addicts, and I see this happen on repeat, that when people drop alcohol, from their diet, that all of a sudden they're like eating gummy bears and sugary fruit and carbohydrates, and
The addiction is
like,
real.
yeah, but like, which one is worse for you? They're both equally as
I would
That's
say that the
awful.
sugar addiction is probably less damaging to your cellular and brain health than the sugar, like long term, if we had to compare the evils. And I call it evil because it's against life. And it only takes a few days to shift yourself out of that addictive state. And so, whereas alcohol, it's a much more complex relief from that addiction, but sugar, you can really shift. And then all of a sudden, you're free. If you're really bad, it takes 5 days. You might feel like sick for those 5 days, but most people are on the other side of it in just 3 days. Your gut microbiome will reset. You'll stop having the cravings. Your cells will start to get strong. Your immune system will repair itself. It's this whole beautiful cascade of events. But you got to get it off your radar. You got to get it out of your cupboards. You got to get it out of your fridge and start getting like really into the whole foods like you were educating us about.
yeah.
So this is really important if you're listening and you feel like you're plateauing or you're not making progress with your weight loss journey, that all the exercise in the world isn't going to help if you're not really paying attention to what's on your plate.
Which brings me to my next question, Lauren, which is what's the best, like what for someone who's trying to lose weight, what's the ideal amount of exercise they should be doing every day, and how many times of the week? How many days of the week?
I would say at least an hour a day and at least 5 days a week.
Should they be doing cardio, weightlifting?
A combination of both depending upon age.
Okay, so like let's say you're 18 to 24.
Okay, I would go more for weightlifting at that point.
Okay, and then 24 to 34?
20, a little bit more cardio. What we're really trying to do, I've got both of you right here, and your ages are different, but what I see a lot of is osteoporosis, osteoarthritis with my women that I train between 50 and 70 years old. So what we're really trying to do is create that strength training foundation at a young age so that we're increasing our bone mineral density, so that we're decreasing the chance of osteoarthritis and osteoporosis. It's very interesting. When January 2024 hit, I got so many calls and so many text messages from women telling me that they wanted to start training with me because their doctors were telling them that they had osteoporosis and osteoarthritis. It was almost like COVID hit, and I've never gotten so many text messages about this in my life.
Yeah,
in 20 years of training people.
Wow. And the foundation wasn't laid, it sounds like you're describing. Like the ideal scenario is laying that foundation in your 20s and 30s.
Absolutely. So, I started creating my foundation when I was like 14 years old. And to be honest with you, sorry to say it, but I get a lot of women that come to me at like 40 years old and they tell me that they want to increase their muscle mass, and they've never worked out before, and I kind of have to tell them they might be screwed, because your ability to create that foundation happens as a teenager. For women, it kind of lasts through about 25 years old, and then your ability to create that foundation kind of goes to heck.
Well, I do believe in the possibility that every body has the ability to build strength and be resilient.
Yeah.
And even if somebody didn't have that foundation because they were obese or they had unfortunate circumstances that prevented them from building that foundational strength, I do believe that it's possible. And you're, of course, the expert. That shouldn't discourage people from going and getting exercise. You don't need to go to the gym to build this strength. You can do it in your living room.
Absolutely.
You can do it in your bedroom. You can do push-ups on your countertop. You can do
100%.
dips on your chair. You can do squats on your couch. You know, like with your couch, I mean, like you can become strong and resilient and powerful at whatever age.
100%, but
Yeah, it's better if you can stop.
it's better if you started early.
I totally
So if you're 25 and you're seeing this, start now.
Yeah.
100%. So I find like I don't have to work out as much anymore, because when I was your age, I did it a lot. I created this huge foundation for myself, and now I feel like my body just, it kickstarts itself a lot faster because I've got a fast metabolism, I've got good muscle memory. But if somebody were to come to me at like 50 years old and tell me that they've never worked out before, I mean, their chances are lower.
Yeah. And for those of you who are listening, osteoarthritis, the dangers of having osteoarthritis
Oh, huge.
is a fracture. You can get, if you have a fall,
Hip replacement.
you will most likely break a bone, whereas that never would have happened if you'd fallen in your 30s, the same exact fall. You wouldn't break a hip or your bones in your legs or your arms or your back. So the likelihood of recovering from one of these fractures is really difficult. It can be very challenging if you don't have that foundational strength. So,
Correct.
So if you want to age well, which I think we all do, you absolutely have to do resistance.
well.
Thank you. I'm trying. we have to do that resistance training, and that means using gravity, using weights if you can, but also just using your body weight.
Yeah, body weight is good. And there's so much that you can do with body weight. I write programs for my clients who travel, and I can give them body weight programs, like 10 different exercises that they could do anywhere in a hotel room. Like, they don't even need a gym for any of it.
So there's no excuse. If you're not working out, start now. No excuse. How do you help someone lose weight who's unwilling, like I was?
All right. So it's becoming just more and more natural to me. I feel like the more I identify with people and the closer I get with people, the easier it is for me to change their level of commitment.
Like we got really close.
We got
and
really
then I started
close.
losing a lot of weight, but it was
Yeah,
because I
but-
was more open to you and your advice.
And it also has to do with a slow process for some people. So I don't like to push too much on one person at one time.
I noticed that you're
So-
very gradual with your information and your teaching.
So what happens is if you give somebody too much at once, there is a level of overwhelm
Okay.
that causes people frustration, and then they drop off.
Okay.
So what I try to do is like baby steps. I do have clients who come in and they just want so much at once, and I just won't do it. So maybe we start with gentle exercise. Maybe we implement a little bit of meal prep, but not too much at once. And it's a slow and gradual process, because what happens is as we lose weight, the more weight that comes off in a slower amount of time, the more likely we are to keep it off. So if you're going to lose like 20 pounds in like 20 days, you're most likely going to put it all back on pretty immediately because you shocked your system too much into that process. So I like slow, steady steps. Yeah.
Hence, step it up.
That's amazing.
Step it up.
All right, my final really important question. How do you deprogram the masses from thinking that being overweight is okay?
Slowly. Very, very slowly. Just like the last question. It's going to take baby steps. They're going to have to make slow, progressive changes. They're going to have to change their mindset at the same time. They're really going to need to know what they want and put that on the forefront of their brain. The older you get, the harder it's going to be. So start young, like you did, and have a healthy mentality.
Which doesn't mean thinking that being overweight's healthy or okay. Healthy mentality means what?
Healthy mentality is don't be afraid. Okay? And I think that is the hardest thing for a lot of people is the fear factor of exercising, good nutrition, and it's really just a fear of change. And that's the hardest thing for most people to overcome when it comes to any kind of change in their life. So I would say fear of overcoming is probably the best idea.
Wow.
And that comes along also with some self-work, you know?
That's probably one of the most impactful things you said all day, because I remember when I came to you, I was so afraid.
You were afraid, yeah.
Afraid of everything: diet, exercise, going to the gym, change. I was so scared. And you held my hand.
And now you're an addict.
She handled it like a pro. And when I say that, I feel like you loved Penelope.
Oh, yeah.
You loved her into...
Love the shit out of her.
Yeah. I mean, so like, what I observed is how she did it, Penelope, was through love. You know,
But also, like, she pushed me. Like, you pushed me when I
that's
didn't
love.
want to. Right, but some people today say, oh, that's not love to push diet culture. That's not love. But the way
I
you
didn't
pushed
give you
me,
too much at once,
no,
though.
she pushed you
No.
at just the right time when she
Pushed
knew
me
you were ready for more.
just enough, and you really, you made me have so many pivotal moments. Like, after every workout we did together, I always learned something new about myself. And I have you to thank for teaching me how to fall in love with exercise, because you did change my life. You did make me fall in love with exercise. If you had asked me 2 years ago,
And then I fell in love with you.
but if you had asked me 2 years ago if I would go to the gym or go on a
Oh,
treadmill,
I know. You
I would have been like,
You
no.
were terrified.
I would literally have flipped you off, and I did flip her off, you know, when it came to exercise. But now
I missed that.
I just bought a freaking treadmill yesterday. I mean, that's all because of you. That's thanks to you.
And now I got you a treadmill program. That
I
you're
know.
gonna follow
I can't wait to lose the next
to
20.
lose the next 20
I'm
pounds.
so excited. I'm so excited, but I'm so grateful for you, Lauren.
And I am grateful for you. And it's all because I met your mom in Florida. And then I moved to your county. And then
we moved away from you.
And then you moved away from me. But good things happen for a reason, you know?
Lauren, how can you help the people who are listening to this video? Like, can
In
they
how many ways? I mean, I've got so many different kinds of ways.
Yeah, like, will you accept clients virtually? Do you do virtual training?
I haven't done virtual training since middle of COVID, but I am absolutely open to it.
And then could you write programs for people?
100%.
Okay, great. And then people can find out more information about you at your website,
Correct.
which is
Lauren@laurenkern.com or laurenkern.com.
Lauren, it's LaurenKern.com.
We'll put it in the description as well.
Yeah, and then there's some great resources on your website.
Oh, I've got so many recipes. There's like over 100 recipes on there. Some of them are paleo, some of them are keto. Most of them don't have starchy carbohydrates in them. I've got my top 10 favorites, so if you want to email me and ask me for my top 10, I will send those to you. But yeah, website's been around for a long time.
You have
and,
you have that treadmill program you gave me on
yeah, I
there,
got a
which I
I've
love.
My
got
butt.
My butt.
35-minute long treadmill program that is good for just about everybody.
You can do it.
No, it's a 3-mile program.
I know, but I'm just saying I couldn't do it, so I was like very confronted.
Why couldn't you do it?
The interval training, because I couldn't reach the speeds.
Okay, well then all you have to do is just drop the speed down a little bit.
Well, I
You can
did.
still do the program.
I did the program, but I felt like, you know,
Just drop down the speed a
that's
little
my
bit.
own personal problem.
Yeah, well,
Well,
I'm a good sprinter, so I could make it to 8 miles an hour.
I love the
I only went to
but
8.
I don't know if I can do it anymore.
Oh.
I could when I developed the program.
Got it. Love it. Okay. Well, we love you, Lauren, and we thank you.
I love you as well.
I love you. And I'm so grateful for you. Forever grateful for you. Do I have a little lip mark on?
No.
No.